Hell of a Boss, the Has-Been Hotel spin-off. Look, I will not bore you with the details of this show. If you clicked on this video, you probably already know what Hell of a Boss is. However, for the two people who just happen to not know what this show is about, to summarize, Blitz and his buddies Moxie, Millie, and Luna run a hitman company called IMP, going to Earth to fulfill jobs for their clients, thanks to the Grimoire. However, there is a catch. The gang can only access Earth if Blitz continues his sexy time transactional affairs with STOLAS. And now, the entire show has mostly just been about STOLAS and Blitz, and other stuff along the way, so the show's original premise is just completely gone. I can't remember the last time these guys did a hitman mission or whatever, but we're not here to talk about the show. We are here to talk about a character that plays a central role in this series, and why I hate him. Now, I have a confession. I have a love-hate relationship with Hell of a Boss. Or to be more specific, I have a love-hate relationship with, like, all of Vivzy Pop's creations. On one hand, Vivzy has lots of potential. She has amazing world-building ideas. She can create cool characters with amazing stories and developments. She can create plot lines that can be interesting to viewers. On the other hand, though, her execution of these things can go, let's just say, sour. And nowhere is this more apparent than in STOLAS. By the way, I didn't always hate STOLAS. At the beginning of the series, I found this character to have lots of potential, more particularly as a villain than a love interest for Blitz. But because the writers for Hell of a Boss suck at writing, we're never going to see the amazing potential STOLAS could have because the writers want to write a yaoi fanfiction you can just find on Wattpad or something. So this leads the narrative to characterize STOLAS as an ooh-woo baby boy who is just a constant victim of everyone, including Blitz, and is just a sad and depressed guy, and it's fine that he does what he does. It doesn't matter, guys. He was just lonely or whatever. And Hell of a Boss fans, unironically, eat this shit up. The constant excuses I will see not just the show do, but fans do as well is so terrible to me, especially when this guy does heinous stuff throughout the series. So that's why I made this video today. I needed an outlet to let out my frustrations I have with this owl loser. So what better way to do that than to make an entire video about him? But before we list out my grievances with STOLAS, we first need to talk about the basics of Hell's hierarchy. At the top, there is Lucifer, the leader of Hell. Charlie and Lilith come second because they are his family. Then comes the 7 deadly sins. Right below them is the Royal Goetia, which is what STOLAS is. Then you got the Overlords, which are the super powerful demons we see in Has-Been Hotel, and the Sinners, which are humans who have died and gone to Hell. Below them are Hellborn demons, which as far as I know are the incubi and succubi of Hell. And finally, at the very bottom are Hellhounds and imps. Blitz is an imp, so this will be very important when it comes to my arguments. For the case of this video, I'm going to be listing STOLAS' issues as sins. Haha, get it? 'Cause it's hell? Okay, let's start with the first sin, his treatment of Blitz. And before people come after me, yes, I know Blitz is not a good person either. Blitz is a freaking weirdo as well and has treated people badly, including STOLAS. But I am going to say this right now. With the stuff I'm about to list with STOLAS, the things Blitz does can be somewhat justified. Let's start with the fact that STOLAS has a terrible power dynamic over Blitz, since STOLAS was the one to initiate the start of a quid pro quo relationship by telling Blitz that they need to pay every month so he can have access to the Grimoire. For those who don't know what quid pro quo is, it's a form of harassment, where someone in a superior position takes advantage of someone by demanding sexual favors in exchange for things such as a promotion or raise. But in this case, it's worse because Blitz genuinely has to do these things for him to get by in life. Without this grimoire, his business goes to and he won't be able to carry out his hitman services anymore. And yes, I get that Blitz attempted to steal the grimoire from STOLAS in the beginning, leading him to get caught, but that doesn't make it any better. He is still taking advantage of him regardless, and he can get away with it because he is of a higher class. Do people not see how this whole situation is? Because this is awful. And by the way, in return for all of the favors, all STOLAS does is, weirdly enough, continue to demean him in the flirtatious tone. Which brings me to my next point. Throughout the series, you will see STOLAS call Blitz his little imp, or Blitzy, showing that he does not have any sort of respect for him, and just sees him as another imp to use. And he doesn't do this to him privately. He does it publicly in front of Blitz's friends, and even goes as far as to do this in front of strangers and his own daughter. By the way, don't worry, we will get into Octavia later. This girl deserves so much justice. But despite doing this in public all the time, it's clear Blitz is uncomfortable with this and hates it very much. Like, for example, in the Harvest Moon Festival, he just straight up catcalls Blitz in front of a fucking audience.
Good luck to you all! Especially that sexy little one there. Yoo-hoo, Blitzy!
This is harassment. Publicly, for all to hear. And it doesn't stop there. Even in the first episode, STOLAS calls Blitz to prioritize his desires and make the monthly sexy time arrangement, despite Blitz continuously telling him that it's not a good time to talk because they are literally being chased down. Or how about in episode 2 where he just hires Blitz as a bodyguard to flirt with him and be all weird with him, despite him being a powerful demon prince who can fend for himself. Mind you, all of this weird shit he does is treated as a joke. Haha, it's him being a gooner again, guys. Haha, look at STOLAS flirting with Blitz again. Haha.
I ain't laughing at this.
This isn't funny at all, bro. This is just fucking disgusting. By the time Aussies rolls around, the writers suddenly try to build some weird romantic tension between STOLAS and Blitz. By the way, let's think about this for more than 1 second. Why does STOLAS have romantic feelings for Blitz in the first place? Cause this does not develop. And why specifically oh god, no. When this episode came out, I knew it was so over for season 2, man, because these writers have yaoi goo eyes for these two. So of course they had to establish that they met as children, and that STOLAS was just a sad and lonely kid, and he fell in love with Blitz from the very start, guys, because he was his first friend. We did it! We skipped the hard work of actually developing a relationship that can be somewhat mature, but no. That's just too much hard work, guys. We're too busy writing a garbage romance, guys. By the way, wanna know how they managed to hang out? STOLAS' father buys Blitz from Blitz's dad so they can just play for a day. Yes, he literally buys him at like a slave. Just another point to show how much status the Goetia have over imps. Just lovely. And I have not even begun to talk about STOLAS' hypocrisy towards Blitz. Yes, let's make this sin number 2, because STOLAS is such a massive hypocrite, and he gets away with it, because the show wants to victim blame Blitz so bad and just make STOLAS like this perfect little boy. Okay, I'll calm down. In episode 8, The Full Moon, STOLAS is all up in his feelings, leading him to give Blitz an Osmodian crystal so they can stop their transaction, realizing that it's wrong. The Osmodian crystal would allow Blitz to travel to Earth freely without STOLAS' grimoire. One of the reasons why STOLAS says he's doing this is because he doesn't want Blitz to forcefully be with him anymore for his business. Fine, some accountability on his part and character growth. That's nice for once, or so I thought. Now, the full moon could have been a good or decent episode, but they ruined it. In the episode, STOLAS starts guilt-tripping Blitz for, and I'm not joking about this, for believing that the relationship was all about sex.
I have wanted you for so long. The fact that you couldn't believe that I might have these feelings about you, that your first instinct is that it's always about sex.
Wow. I wonder where he got that from. It's not like you were the one who established the relationship to be like that or something. So Blitz rightfully confronts him. This is one of my favorite scenes in season 2 because I want to see STOLAS held accountable for his bullshit for once. But unfortunately, this scene gets ruined when STOLAS begins crying and Blitz starts to feel bad? This shows the writers want you to be mad at Blitz for rightfully getting angry at his abuser. This doesn't stop here, by the way. This continues to what I believe is season 2's worst episode. Apology Tour. Actually, it's Helava's worst episode, period. The amount of gaslighting and hypocrisy STOLAS displays towards Blitz in this episode is so aggravating. It hurts. It hurts so bad that I'm talking like a Vipsy Pop character. Bear with me here, by the way. What makes it even worse is that this is also a ploy to gaslight the audience into believing Blitz is in the wrong for everything. But no, I'm not getting gaslighted today because I saw with my 2 eyes and heard with my ears all the things STOLAS did. So this episode can try to manipulate me as much as it wants, but I ain't getting manipulated today, sister. At the beginning of this episode, Blitz flirts with STOLAS, and in this case, STOLAS tells Blitz that he's uncomfortable. Wow, what a f***ing dick. As if he wasn't doing the same shit throughout the entire series. And then this one clip from this episode made me want to pull my hair out, that I had to start reflecting on even continuing on with this show, because I could not believe this was a real line said in this episode.
You look down on. I don't look down on you. How many times do I... When have I ever... You speak just like that vile striker friend of yours, the one who tried to kill me and you couldn't be bothered to come help me. Remember him?
Hey, look, I do not sound like... And I didn't know he was capable. I stopped him the first time, didn't I?
The first time?
Yeah, Oh. Oops. No, who said that?
You knew someone was trying to assassinate me?
Yes. When have you ever looked down on him? Gee, I wonder. Bringing up Striker 2 and getting mad at Blitz that he did not tell him someone was out to assassinate him is so petty. Like, of course he probably didn't think to tell you because you're a powerful demon. And also, sorry that he did not go save you that day because unlike you, Blitz cares about his daughter's well-being. I don't know what the writers are trying to cook here, but it's clear they burnt the kitchen. Kind of off topic, but in that episode where he was kidnapped by Striker, Blitz sends Moxie and Millie to save his ass. This isn't the only time in the series STOLAS has looked down on Moxie and Millie, by the way. So this goes to show that he has never grown out of his classist views, despite him apparently having such strong feelings for Blitz. Anyways, I digress. He tries to get Blitz to apologize to him as well in this episode. Like, what the fuck does he need to apologize for? For rightfully calling you out? For not understanding that you liked him that way? Like, in the episode, Verosika throws a petty party for all of Blitz's exes every year so they can all cope with how Blitz hurt all of them, with STOLAS being the newest ex. And because Verosika despises Blitz, she immediately takes STOLAS' side. There are no nuances to this episode, no complications, nothing. You're just supposed to believe that Blitz is the bad guy in this episode, and that he hurt so many people, including STOLAS. Are you serious? I'm supposed to believe that Blitz over all of these people. Like, are you sure he was the bad guy in all of these situations? Not even Verosika herself is any better, cause she sexually Moxie in episode 2. Okay, we're not talking about Helava Boss. We're talking about STOLAS. It gets worse when STOLAS gets a whole song number about how hurting he is, that Blitz was such a bad person to him, and how he never cared about him because to Blitz, the relationship meant nothing.
My name is David, Dad, I want some ice cream, David.
By the way, this song sucks ass. I was laughing through it the entire time because these lyrics are so unserious, dude. Na 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 na. A motherfucker. The writers want you to empathize with this bitch. We're supposed to be agreeing with him and this song and loving this character because he's a poor little owl man and the fans eat this shit up. Ah! Okay, you get the point. Apology Tour is just a gatekeep gaslight girl boss episode. Jesus Christ. I can't believe this is a relationship that the show unironically wants you to root for. You know, despite STOLAS being a shit person to Blitz, why don't we talk about his third sin? The way he treats his family. Let's start with his wife, Stella. In the pilot, we find out that STOLAS cheated on his wife with Blitz. Damn, that just makes him worse, right? Stella isn't that good of a person either. In fact, when she and STOLAS argue about his infidelity in episode 2, she's angrier at the fact that STOLAS cheated on her with an imp than the actual act of the cheating, showing that she's more classist than anything. Fine, she's a justifiably angry wife who's quite greedy. Okay, that's a cool idea for a character, since we're exploring a different side of the Goetia family, one that cares about reputation more than anything. However, I thought, deep down, she also cared for STOLAS, and that both parties kinda at least had some care for each other in the beginning, that STOLAS and Stella met and fell in love, but due to circumstances, had a falling out, especially with Octavia mentioning that her parents didn't always hate each other, and I believed Stella got hurt and heartbroken by his actions, because she literally hired an assassin to kill him. So I believed Stella's character was going to be fleshed out some more, so we can understand her perspective and see a more complex side of the Goetia family. But as we all know, VivziePop can't write female characters. So you know what happened? In episode 1, season 2, The Circus, they retcon everything by showing that Stella and STOLAS were just arranged and that she's always been this evil garbage monster who is a hater and has just always loved torturing STOLAS, and that's just her only personality up to this point. Just a very one-note villain. Wow, what amazing writing. It is so obvious that the writers did this to justify him cheating on his wife. You know, if the writers want me to hate Stella, they gotta at least make her more interesting, because up to this point, she is just a boring character to dislike. They gotta add more flavor to her. Give her something beyond being a dumb bitch who just wants STOLAS to suffer. Give us some scenes of what her relationship with Octavia is like, you know? Just give her personality, please. It also does not help that STOLAS too has his own set of issues, so I can't completely hate her. Do I excuse her actions though? Fuck no, she can be very abusive from what we have seen. However, the yelling, screaming, and even the attempted assassination can be justified, because you too would not be happy if your husband went on to cheat on you, especially if that infidelity took place on your own bed. So let's be serious for 1 second, guys. It also does not help that STOLAS himself is an abuser, so like, come on. But here's another thing that confuses me. If STOLAS was so willing to have an affair, why the fuck did he not divorce her before? In The Circus, STOLAS mentions that their only purpose for getting together was to have Octavia, so they could have a heir to the Goetia family. But why didn't he have a divorce after they had their kid? Oh, because he said he wanted their daughter to have a normal life. He couldn't divorce her, guys. It's not like hearing your parents constantly yell at each other and be abusive is a normal environment for a child. And going on to have an affair with someone is totally going to help your daughter with her mental health issues. Good job. Such an amazing father. Which brings me to my last point. STOLAS is a terrible father. Now, it's clear that the show wants the audience to see STOLAS as a decent father who makes some silly mistakes, guys. He's still learning. But he never learns. In the second episode, Stolas offers Octavia to take her to Lululand so she can escape from her parents' constant arguing. It's clear that she doesn't want to go, but Stolas neglects this and they just go anyway. What makes it worse is that he invites the guy he is cheating with to bodyguard for them and just flirts with him the entire time they are there, giving zero attention to her. At the end of the episode, there is zero accountability for this. Sure, Octavia tells him that he ruined their family and home by cheating, but his dumbass can't explain because that would require his character to take some sort of responsibility. And sure, he may have apologized, but it was a very half-assed apology. Like, he should have actually apologized for bringing Blitz along, but he just says, I'm sorry for everything. And then everything becomes fine and dandy again because he made a promise that he would later break. But more on that later. In the next episode where we see the two again, Stolas ignores Octavia again to argue with Stella, causing her to literally run away. But because this show glazes Stolas, she's told by Luna that, oh, she should just give him some slack. He's just trying, Octavia. Forgive him. He loves you. Which brings us to Mastermind. In this episode, Stolas sacrifices his status as a Goetia to save Blitz, meaning that he can't be all powerful and mighty anymore, and won't be able to see his daughter. I am going to admit this. When Stolas lost his Goetia status in Mastermind and suffered his consequences in Sinsmith, I f***ing cheered. He deserved everything that was coming to him, including Octavia finally ditching his ass. In Lululand, the promise Stolas made to Octavia was to never leave her and run away for Blitz. And he literally did that. He was given so many chances by her. So of course she would never want to see him again, especially after he broke such a promise. Look, I understand he had to save Blitz from getting executed, but Octavia is right in mentioning that he didn't need to do that. He chose to do it because he just wanted more sex. While yes, Stolas is facing a consequence of his actions here, unfortunately, the episode is not portraying it that way, which makes me so angry. Instead, Octavia is portrayed as immature and naive, and that she's not understanding the full situation right now, and that Stolas cares, even though his actions don't even reflect that, but okay. You also have fans who fall for this narrative, despite Stolas doing the exact opposite of things that the narrative is saying. Dude, how are they not seeing that they are getting played? Like, what? And sure, I will say this, Octavia's only personality up to this point has been the broody teen that doesn't really like her father. And I do agree that Helva needs to flesh out Octavia some more. But I'm not going to deny that Octavia is valid in her feelings. Here is the final nail in the coffin. In Sinsmith, IMP has a client who wants to kill her ex-husband for cheating on her with another man. The client is portrayed as very rude, demeaning, and just really hates her ex. When IMP goes out to take the kill, they don't kill the cheater because he's shown to be happy with his new boyfriend and family. And Blitz sees himself in them and what he desires. Even though they kill a cheater and a homewrecker in the very first episode, and kill innocent civilians in episode 3, and kill a literal child in the pilot, but okay, I guess. This is a very thinly veiled attempt to justify what Stolas did, and portraying the person who got cheated on as a meanie is so fucking corny, dude. What if she wasn't always like that and was just genuinely angry that her ex-husband cheated on her? What if the ex is as bad as the family from the first episode? Oh my god, this show often doesn't make any sense, dude. Do you remember when I mentioned that Stolas had potential in the beginning? Well, kind of a hot take here, but Stolas should have stayed a villain. That would have made his character way better, and probably would have made Hell of a Boss one of the best shows ever. This is exactly the reason why I like pilot Stolas way better than the Stolas that we got for the main show. In the pilot, we see a very different version of Stolas. This Stolas is meaner, crueler, and actually uses his grimoire for evil purposes. He mentions that he has demons up on Earth to uplift political candidates who spread climate change denial, so more people can die and go to hell. This STOLAS would have been fucking cool, man. Had his character gone this way, I would have been more lenient on STOLAS as a character. And heck, if he had stayed this way, maybe the writers could have done something cool here and made some developments on the way Blitz could escape STOLAS's grasp or something. Wouldn't that have just been cool? But unfortunately, this did not happen because the writers were too busy writing shitty rom-com fanfiction. In conclusion, STOLAS is a terrible character. He's terrible to Blitz to the point where the show needs to stop pushing the idea that these two are meant to be. This is an extremely toxic relationship, and no amount of redemptions will make this relationship any better. Blitz needs to get a new boyfriend, girlfriend, or partner. Just anyone that isn't STOLAS, please. Octavia deserves to never see him again, for her health and well-being, and no amount of gaslighting from the fandom and show will make me believe that Octavia is just an immature teenager, because she's not. She deserves to feel how she feels, especially after everything her own father did to her. And Stella is not a villain, despite what the show is trying to tell you. I am tired of Helva portraying Stella as a villain when she is not. She's not, okay? She has valid feelings as well. And the show needs to develop her some more because, like, right now, she's just really bland. But I highly doubt that will happen because knowing Helva, nothing ever fucking changes for the better. Overall, though, STOLAS needs to suffer real consequences. And I know what people are going to say. But Patel, he got his powers and his status taken away. He lives with Blitz and now sees what life is like as the lower class. Isn't that enough for—
No.
I didn't mention this in the Octavia section of the video, but after Octavia's confrontation with STOLAS and Sinsmith, he gets comforted by Blitz when they get home. He gets told by Blitz that he has to give her time and keep trying. No, he needs to not try anymore. What happened, happened, and there is nothing STOLAS can do to redeem this. Is there a realistic possibility Octavia could forgive him one day? Sure, but the show has to stop pushing this narrative that Octavia is a misunderstood teen. If the show wants to give him a valid forgiveness from Octavia, he would need to acknowledge the way he had wronged her, which he still hasn't. And even if he's lower class now, he still hasn't acknowledged how he hurt Blitz and the imps. Instead, he gets a cute little slow dance with Blitz. Like, what? He gets happily ever after romantic kisses, slow dancing, comfort, apologies, everything. And all the people he has hurt get nothing in return. And even if they confront him, they will always be seen as the bad guys in the narrative or misunderstood. Because STOLAS is a constant victim everyone needs to care about. I feel like I'm watching an anti-BoJack Horseman show or something. Imagine if BoJack was seen as the victim in every situation, and all the people he hurt were the villains in the narrative. And by the way, I know BoJack is a more complex show than Helva, but you get my point. BoJack too gets away with many things throughout his show, but at least the narrative doesn't want you to empathize with him, and empathize more with the people he has hurt. If you like STOLAS, then I'm not going to judge you. Okay, never mind. I'm going to judge you just a tiny bit, but I hope you're not the type who excuses all of his actions. And if you do, I need you to do some hard self-reflection because that's insane. But I will hear you out in the comments if you like this character. But please, for God's sake, you need to at least acknowledge the terrible things he has done. This also includes the writers, by the way, but due to the route the series has gone down, I highly doubt that's going to happen up to this point. In my opinion, STOLAS is a pretty unredeemable character right now, and I don't think there's any way the show can redeem this guy. But I'm going to continue watching Helva Boss because I love torturing myself, and when season 3 comes, I don't mind making a sort of update video on how STOLAS' writing continues in the future, and whether it gets better or worse. Also, I have seen many in the fandom claim that Blitz and STOLAS is one of the best LGBT relationships in media, and all I have to say is, please, for the love of God, watch something else. There is so much better LGBT representation than this, and those medias probably have more coherent and complex writing than whatever Helva is doing. Anyways, if you liked this video, consider subscribing and liking. It helps me a bunch. Also, if you disagree or agree with me, I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Or maybe you guys have something to add to the conversation. Whatever works. And yes, I know Helva fans can be kind of insane, but please, for the love of God, be respectful in the comments. Remember, we're talking about fictional characters. Make sure to follow my socials, and if you want to, you can donate to my Ko-Fi. It helps a bunch. Anyways, have a good day and night. Bye bye!